Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, it seems that 53% of people who voted in the referendum now believe that their vote was wrong and they should have never voted to leave. It was a mistake. But then we've got 32% of those people, I think it's a YouGov poll, said it was the right thing to do. And right there, that 32%, they are the hardcore racist in this country because that's 32%, right? So they needed to convince another 20% of the people who voted to vote along with them. And obviously that's where you had the bus going around with 350 million, and cheap food and cheap shoes for peasants, right? That's where you had all that stuff coming in, and everything that people were saying. Nigel Farage would be there to shout people down, to say, oh no, that's not going to happen, that's just project fair, there won't be no build up of traffic in Dover will be perfectly fine, and right now Dover's a massive car park. But so those 32%, yeah, that's the real hardcore racists. Most of them would certainly have been like from the ex-National Front and from UKIP, Pegida, the EDL, all these type. That's where the Tories. That's where, right, that 32% have always been, because that's the real hardcore. But they're very good at convincing people who are, let's just say, stupid, uneducated, right, bit niffy, twats. Very good at convincing those type of people, oh no, all of your problems are down to, because that 32%, you can forget thinking that there's any coming back for them. There's no coming back for them. That 20%, right, they can be convinced either way. They can be convinced, well, immigrants are not your whole, not all the problem that you face in your life. But coming from the other way, they say, well, it's all those bloody immigrants, right? All your problems with your life. So bloody immigrants, look at them taking all your housing, taking your fucking women, right? Taking all the fucking jobs, right? So that 20% is in that. So they can be convinced. They can be convinced either way. It's just that on the referendum, they managed to be convinced to go with the damn racist. With that 32%. That I think that a lot of those in that 20%. I think a lot of those people who thought to themselves, something, it doesn't really matter even if we do vote to leave, because we are British, so we can just go back into the EU like that. There'll be no problem at all. And that's not the case, because a lot of these people really did believe in, that the EU needed us more than we needed them. But obviously, they're probably finding out the real truth now. You see, the EU wouldn't have Britain back in. Yeah, Britain's got nothing to offer the EU. It's got nothing at all to offer the EU. Nothing. When I say nothing, it's got nothing to offer the EU. They've already stripped our financial services. If it hasn't gone to America, our financial services have gone into the EU. So they've already stripped that. Right? Norway have managed to get back their fishing waters, so our boats can't go in there, right? And who likes the fish that swim around Norway more than us? Nobody. That's the fish that we like. We don't like the fish that swims around our coast. We like the fish that swim around there. And now our boats can't go over there and get it. Right? So now we have to rely on them to sell it to us. And, so they'll be just, so if it ever come down to it for a vote to get the Britain back in, they'll be like, no. Because, we like to sell you the stuff. We don't want you coming over here and taking it for free and then, going back and selling it to your fish and chip shops. We can do that. So that's what we've done. We rely on the EU for what? Look how much of our fruit and vegetables we rely on the EU for. Fruit and vegetables that we've grown in this country, but we rely on them, right? So they've already, and they've already annexed Ireland. Right, that deal that Rishi Sunak done the other day, right, was for a deal so that we can move stuff within our own country. Just think about that logically. Because these people like to tell you about sovereignty, but the problem with sovereignty is you can't weigh it. Can't judge it, right? You can't touch it, right? That's the thing with sovereignty, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's completely meaningless because, Britain can have as much sovereignty as it wants, so long as it follows their rules. Right? And that is what the truth behind the whole thing is, right? And that's what these people don't understand, how stupid they actually sound when they're speaking about it. I mean, most of the time you listen to them and you can understand they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But so those 20%, if they think, oh well, we could just snap our fingers because we're British and just go back in, and the EU will, no, the EU would never ever let this country back in. It's got nothing to offer them. It's got nothing to offer them. And now, besides, right, any country who wants to come and do big business and wants to get their stuff into around the rest of the world, now they can just come to Ireland. Because they've got that foot into the EU. It's not the foot into England that they're interested in. It's the foot into Ireland that these companies are interested in. So that the 53% of people who believe, oh well, it was a serious mistake. Now, none of this really matters. Do you know what I mean? You can make as much mistakes as people want, but to get back into the EU, right? The EU will never ever. Britain's got nothing at all to offer the EU for the EU to take Britain back in. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me. And a special thank you to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up. So thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. So we've got I was going to start with you know what? I'm just thinking because I'm fusing two stories together because we're going to be fusing America with the UK, but we're going to start with what Jacob Rees-Mogg was saying last night on his TV show. I had to watch a bit of it just so that you don't have to, because you shouldn't have to be put through that type of punishment. Right. But Jacob Rees-Mogg, because Sue Gray, remember her? Sue Gray, the woman who done the report on Boris Johnson. Now, Sue Gray, I believe, has just been offered a job with the Labour Party. So now you've got Jacob Rees-Mogg jumping up and down and saying, whoa, what has been going on here? And now he wants to relitigate the whole Partygate shit. And think to yourself, well, hold on a minute. First of all, and I'll tell you why I was just thinking that these stories fuse, yeah, is because this is just along the lines of what the Republicans do in America. Right? This is them just like 101. Because they do something, they expect everybody is as corrupt as them. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the other night she was out in a restaurant and she was heckled in the restaurant by some people. And then she went on Twitter to tell how disgusting it was to be heckled like that in public. And these people should feel ashamed of themselves. So hold on a minute. This is the same woman who chased a 15, 16 or 17-year-old boy down the road with a gun in her purse. That didn't have no bearing on it, but she had a gun in her purse while she was chasing him down the road, telling him, right, that he's lying about being a survivor of a school shooting. But just a couple of weeks ago, she was shouting down the President of the United States, right, at the State of the Union, right? And yet for all, she thinks it's okay for her to go onto Twitter and complain about people shouting her down and how they shouldn't do it. And, so it's just the same type of politics what's being run in this country now, right? We haven't got to the big lie just yet, but we're going to soon get there. Because when Jacob Rees-Mogg is talking about, oh, well, Sue Gray needs to be investigated. This is what the Democrats are. This is what the Republicans are doing right now to the Democrats. The Republicans are investigating the Democrats, right, for nothing, right, because of so much crimes that Donald Trump has committed, right. He's attracted like prosecutors from all over America, right, and it's all justified. Right. When you come down to like election, cheating in elections and things like that, right? All the people who have been caught have all been Republicans. all of them have been Republicans who have been caught trying to cheat in elections, right? Trying to trying to add votes and all sorts of different nonsense, right? Or or setting up setting up call centers to phone around in black areas to try and get people to try and put people off from voting, right? All done by the Republicans, right? And now a lot of this politics is moving over to this country as well, where you've got like Jacob Rees-Mogg, who thinks that he can now start questioning Sue Gray, even though Boris Johnson was having parties at the time. Right. I mean, now we've got some revelations. We've got more revelations today from Isabel Oakeshott, that vile character. So we've got more revelations from her. How they're talking about how they wanted the police to be much harder on the people of the country, much harder. We want you to go out there and proper, give them fines and arrest them and all this type of thing. Right. This is when you got like Matt Hancock giving press conferences while Boris Johnson's in the back having parties in the back room. But he's telling the police they need to act harder on the people of the country, right? While the police are watching Boris Johnson having parties in the back room. Anyway, guys, look, I've got to bow out of here because I've already gone 1 minute over and I didn't want to do that today. So, my friends, I'm going to bow out. This, my friends, is by any means necessary. I'm the MC John Ribs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.